Deleted Peppa Pig episode The Newborn, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. There was a celebration at the Pig family's house. A baby had been born. Everyone congratulated Mummy Pig, bringing balloons, cakes, and toys. Peppa jumped with joy. I'm going to have a little brother or a sister. And maybe they'll have a shiny, beautiful snout just like mine, laughed Daddy Pig, walking over to the crib. Let's take a look. He playfully pulled back the edge of the blanket and froze. Inside lay a wolf cub, a real one, small, gray, with pointed ears and a long snout. Its eyes were bright yellow, not childlike, not pig-like. Silence filled the room. Is this some kind of joke? Peppa whispered. I gave birth to... Mummy Pig trailed off and turned away. Outside the window, someone was standing, a tall figure in a cloak with eyes glowing in the dark. Daddy Pig walked to the window and shouted, "Take it back. That's not ours. Get out, you wolf spawn." But the figure didn't leave, and the wolf cub began to howl softly. And in response, from far off in the woods, others howled back. Many others. The celebration was over, and the night had only just begun. Deleted Peppa Pig episode, The Last Frequency, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. At work, Daddy Pig was given a strange gift, a radio receiver covered in cracks. Old but stylish, Daddy Pig exclaimed happily. We'll listen to it in the evenings. That evening, the radio picked up only static. But exactly at 3:33 a.m., it came to life on its own. In the silence of the bedroom, a voice was heard, quiet, scraping.
Time to tune in. Time to tune in.
Daddy Pig got up first, then Mummy, then the children. They walked barefoot, heading toward the forest. In the clearing stood an old radio transmitter, rusty, with wires sticking out like roots. Around it circled others, just like Daddy Pig, but not him. Strangers. And there, behind the trees, he was waiting. Slender Man. He just stood there. But the radio inside each of them was already receiving the signal. Peppa tried to cover her ears, and for the first time noticed black liquid was dripping from them. The signal was inside. Turn off the radio, she whispered to herself. Daddy, please. Daddy Pig, as if hearing through the haze, struck the radio. It cracked, and everything disappeared. In the morning, the radio lay broken. No one remembered anything, but Peppa knows for sure if the radio is ever turned on again, the frequency will find them, and so will Slender Man. Deleted Peppa Pig episode, the tape that shouldn't have been watched, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. One day, Peppa was rummaging around in the attic, looking for old toys. Dust tickled her nose, cobwebs clung to her ears. In the corner, she found a box labeled "Do Not Play" inside. An old videotape. No title, just something scratched on the side. 2009. Danny.
Danny?
Peppa whispered. Danny was her best friend. He disappeared many years ago. No one knew where he went. He just left school one day and never came back. Curiosity won. Peppa found an old video player, inserted the tape, and pressed play.
Hey everyone! Today we're going to bury Danny in a hole, but he's hiding from me. Danny! I see you!
No! I can't believe Daddy Pig did
She slowly turned around. Daddy Pig was standing behind her, holding a shovel in his hooves. His face was calm, too calm.
"You weren't supposed to watch that, Peppa," he said quietly.
Since that day, Peppa has been missing. Her family still believes it was an accident. Deleted Peppa Pig episode, The Mushroom That Shouldn't Be, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. One autumn day, Peppa, George, Mummy Pig, and Daddy Pig went for a walk in the forest. The leaves were bright, the air crisp. George found an acorn. Daddy Pig was photographing nature, and Peppa noticed something strange at the base of a tree. "Look, a mushroom," she shouted. The cap of the mushroom was rust-colored, covered in black specks. Dark liquid dripped from its underside. "Don't touch it, Peppa," said Mummy Pig. "That doesn't look like a normal mushroom." But Peppa had already leaned in and smelled it. The scent was sweet, sticky, like candied meat. And suddenly a larva emerged from under the mushroom cap, fat, white, shiny. Peppa recoiled, but it was too late. That night, Peppa woke up. Her stomach hurt and her skin itched. She went to the bathroom and turned on the light. On her cheek, a bump. It pulsed. Peppa pressed it with her hoof, and something white appeared from beneath her skin. "Mummy!" she cried. The next morning, Peppa was silent. She didn't eat. She just sat and scratched. There were already 3 bumps on her neck. A day later, she didn't get out of bed at all. Her whole body was covered in red spots, from which tiny tentacles emerged. It wasn't Peppa lying on the bed anymore. It was something pale, covered in fungal growths, from which larvae slowly crawled out. The mushroom was growing. The larvae were awakening. The pig family was no longer a family. They were a colony. Deleted Peppa Pig episode, Family Dinner on Halloween, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. Halloween was approaching. The pig family's house was perfectly decorated. Carved pumpkins with smiling faces, garlands made of bones. Daddy Pig was hanging lanterns, Mummy Pig was setting the table, and George was drawing spooky faces on a sheet of paper. Everyone was busy. Everyone except Peppa. Peppa stood in the corner of the kitchen. "What will I be for Halloween?" she asked. Mummy Pig turned to her and smiled far too widely. "You'll be the main course, darling." Peppa laughed. She thought it was a joke. But then Daddy Pig picked up a huge cooking pot. George opened the oven, and Mummy began chopping garlic. When the guests arrived for dinner, the table was already set. The pumpkins were glowing. Ghosts were hanging from the ceiling. And in the center was a massive dish. On the platter lay a pink piglet. "Where's Peppa?" asked Susie Sheep. "She's right here," Daddy Pig replied. Deleted Peppa Pig episode, The Armless Pig, which was never showed on TV. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos. One gray day at school, Madame Gazelle told the children a scary story.
Once there was a pig. He was lazy, always avoiding chores. He didn't listen to his parents, didn't help around the house, and one day he was punished. He lost his arms. Since then, he has been called the armless pig. He comes to those who disobey at night, when no one expects him.
The children laughed, all except Peppa. That evening, Mummy said,
Peppa, please wash the dishes.
Oh, no, I don't want to. I'm tired.
That night, she woke up to a creaking sound, a creak at the window. The moon was dim. Peppa cautiously approached the window and looked outside. He was standing in the yard, tall, filthy, with crooked legs, but no arms. He didn't move. He just stared, with a horrible expression on his face. Peppa took a step back. He took a step forward. Peppa screamed, but the house was too quiet. No one woke up. She hid under the bed. The breathing got louder, first at the window, then right behind the door. Then, silence. In the morning, her parents came into the room. Peppa was gone. Only a plate on the floor, licked completely clean. And on the window, scratched with a claw, was the message, "Cleanliness is salvation." Deleted Peppa Pig episode Time Loop, which was never shown on TV. The episode begins normally. Peppa wakes up in her bed. She stretches, smiles, and says, "What a lovely day." She goes downstairs. Mummy Pig is making pancakes. George is laughing. All seems normal until Peppa says the exact same thing again. What a lovely day. Then the episode restarts. Same scene, same lines. But this time everyone's smiles are slightly too wide. Their movements are stiff. Sound is muffled. It restarts again, and again, and again. Each time things are just a little more wrong. The sky turns gray, then black. The house gets darker. Faces become blank. George stops laughing. Mummy Pig stares at the camera. Daddy Pig doesn't appear at all. By the sixth loop, Peppa begins to realize something is wrong. She whispers, "Why am I still here?" Her voice is distant, echoed. No one responds. Suddenly, she looks directly into the screen. Are you watching this again? The scene restarts, but this time there's no dialogue, just static and low droning sounds. All the characters are still, motionless. The only thing that moves is the clock on the wall, spinning rapidly, then reversing. The final loop plays. Peppa is in bed again. She doesn't move. Her eyes are open. She whispers one last time. There's no ending, only watching. The screen glitches and freezes on her face, then cuts to black. Deleted Peppa Pig episode, Daddy Pig's Smile, which was never showed on TV. It starts like a normal day. Daddy Pig is outside fixing something in the garden. He turns to Peppa and smiles, but his smile is a little too wide. Peppa laughs, awkwardly, but the sound fades quickly. Later, during dinner, Daddy Pig sits at the head of the table. His mouth has stretched wider. His smile never disappears, even as he eats. He doesn't blink, doesn't speak, just chews and smiles. Mummy Pig glances nervously and says, "Daddy's just in a good mood," but her voice trembles. That night, Peppa wakes up to get a drink. Passing the living room, she sees a light on. Daddy Pig is sitting in the dark, the same wide grin. His mouth is huge now, almost unnatural. He whispers, "I'm happy. We all should be happy." Then he starts laughing, quietly. The laughter never stops. Peppa runs upstairs. As she passes the hallway, she notices the family portraits. All of them have changed. Daddy Pig's face now has that same monstrous smile in every single photo, even the old ones. In the final scene, Peppa wakes up in her bed. The room is dark. Someone is standing in the corner. Step by step, he moves closer. It's Daddy Pig. His mouth reaches nearly to his ears now. He leans down toward her and, in a glitchy, distorted voice, says, "Smile, Peppa, forever." Peppa Pig deleted episode Peppa's Shadow, which was never showed on TV. The episode starts with a strange filter over the screen, slightly tinted blue. Peppa is outside, jumping in muddy puddles, but her shadow moves just a little differently. It lags, it twitches, it sometimes disappears entirely. As Peppa walks around the house, her shadow grows longer and darker. It starts to separate from her, following from the ceiling, crawling across walls. She notices. She tries to tell Mummy Pig, "My shadow is broken." But Mummy just blinks slowly and replies, "Then you should stay still, dear." From that point on, Peppa stops moving. Completely. Even when spoken to, she doesn't respond. The only thing moving is the shadow. More alive now, gliding unnaturally. George approaches her and whispers, "That's not your shadow anymore." Suddenly, the house dims. Windows darken. Every mirror in the home is shattered. The shadow begins taking shape. Limbs, head, long mouth. It smiles, but not like Peppa. Too wide, too sharp. In the final scene, Daddy Pig walks into the room. Peppa is standing in the middle, still motionless. But there are two shadows behind her. One is normal. The other raises its hand and waves at the screen. Deleted Peppa Pig episode. Peppa is silent, which was never showed on TV. The episode opens in total silence. Peppa is sitting on the floor of her room. The camera pans slowly. She doesn't move, doesn't blink. She just stares at nothing. Mummy Pig walks in cheerfully and says, "Breakfast is ready, Peppa." But her voice plays backward, distorted, wrong. Peppa doesn't respond. Cut to the dining table. The whole family is eating, but no one speaks. The only sound is Daddy Pig chewing, unnaturally loud, wet, and uncomfortable. Everyone is smiling, except Peppa. Her mouth doesn't move. She just sits there, motionless, with empty eyes. In another scene, George offers her a toy. Peppa suddenly turns to face the screen. Fast. The background starts pulsing. The music becomes fragmented, almost digital noise. Scene after scene, Peppa appears in different places, at school, in the garden, in the bath, but never speaks. She always stares at the viewer. Eventually, Mummy Pig is shown whispering to herself in the hallway.
"If she speaks again, it will all start over."
Then she begins to cry. In the final shot, the camera slowly zooms in on Peppa's face. Her eyes begin to bleed. She opens her mouth, but instead of speaking, she unleashes a horrific, distorted scream that drowns out everything. Cut to black. Then one final whisper.
Now you are silent.
Deleted Peppa Pig episode. The Reflection, which was never showed on TV. It began like any ordinary day. Peppa was in the bathroom, brushing her teeth. The usual cheerful music played, but it felt slower, off-key. She looked up, and her reflection didn't smile. It just stared. Its eyes were darker, expression blank, motionless. Throughout the day, things got stranger. When Peppa moved, her reflection lagged behind. Sometimes it moved before she did. At dinner, she glanced toward the window, and there it was again. Her reflection just standing there, staring at her from the glass. She wasn't even near it. She told Mummy Pig, but Mummy didn't look up from her plate. She simply muttered,
"Don't look too long, Peppa. You might see too much."
That night, Peppa heard whispers coming from the bathroom. Faint, garbled, like they were coming from behind the mirror. She crept inside and froze. Her reflection was grinning, an unnaturally wide, stretched smile. Then it moved, fast, slamming its hooves against the glass. Cracks started to form. The screen glitched. For a moment, everything went black. When the picture returned, it was morning. Mummy Pig walked into the bathroom. Peppa stood by the sink, brushing her teeth like nothing ever happened. But just before the scene faded out, the mirror showed two Peppias, one brushing her teeth and the other behind the cracks, still grinning. The episode ended with no credits, just a silent black screen.